The introduction and conclusion are the bookends of an essay or report, which makes them the most important paragraphs in the entire essay or report. Both are important and related to each other in that the conclusion needs to respond to the introduction, especially to the main idea. The challenge in writing a conclusion is to restate the main idea based on the information and arguments presented in the body of an essay report without bringing in new information. Once again, what do readers look for in a concluding paragraph? Remember, always focus on your potential readers when you write. Keep in mind what they probably already know, what they may not know, and what they may want to know. Apply the following strategies. Thinking strategy number 1, main idea. First, they want to know whether the main idea has been restated based on what was written in the body of the essay or report. For example, the concluding sentence, everyone hoped that a flood of the century would never happen again in the report below, natural disaster, brings closure to the description of the impact of the flood of the century described in the report. Thinking strategy number 2, supported by facts and arguments. Second, readers want to be convinced that any restatement is supported by facts and arguments presented in the body. Readers will remain skeptical about the conclusion if the connections have not been made. For example, the report Natural Disaster presents a graphic description of the impact of the flood on the people living in the area. It also explains why the weather of the spring of '97 generated a flood of the century. Thinking strategy number 3, convince readers. Third, the writer seems convinced that the report Natural Disaster will convince readers about the seriousness of the flood of the century. This is evident in the statement, a better understanding of the impact of such a flood will surely help authorities to protect communities from the disaster of enormous floods. Thinking strategy number 4, final remark. Finally, readers want the writer to bring closure with a final remark. This can be done in several ways, such as appealing for more research, asking for more debate, raising new questions, or accepting the conclusion. For example, the writer concludes with this statement, everyone hoped that a flood of the century would never again cause such disaster. In summary, writers should conclude the following features in a concluding paragraph. Restate the main idea announced in the introduction. Connect the facts and arguments presented in the body to the main idea. The main idea should be supported or challenged by the facts and arguments presented in the body. If the facts and evidence support the main idea, the conclusion should say so. If they challenge the main idea, the conclusion should state that as well. Make a convincing presentation. Readers want to be convinced. Close with a final remark. The final remark brings closure to the essay report by acknowledging what the essay report accomplished or encouraging further research or debate. The challenge of writing a concluding paragraph is to bring honest closure to a particular report or essay without necessarily bringing closure to the research or debate on a topic. Many writers feel this is the most difficult paragraph to write, so if you find it difficult as well, be patient and play with the concluding paragraph till it flows from the essay report you have written. Let me demonstrate what a concluding paragraph looks like. I've chosen a report, so I will illustrate a concluding paragraph for a report. First, let's read the report together. Natural disaster. In the spring of 1997, Grand Forks, North Dakota experienced a flood that occurs only once in 100 years. The flood, which crested 26 feet above flood stage, inundated 95% of the city and triggered a major fire in the downtown business district. This report will describe the magnitude of the flood and elaborate on weather conditions that triggered it. More than 50,000 people were driven from their homes. Many left with only the clothes on their backs and no idea where they would go. Others were able to gather up what became known as the 3 Ps, pets, pills, and pillows. There was very little time to act once the river overtopped the dikes. It came through the sewers and spurted up through the holes and catch basins like geysers. The drinking water and the sewage system were overwhelmed and useless. The flood crested at an unprecedented 54 feet, 26 feet above flood stage. As the crest moved across the Canadian border, the Red River was 25 miles wide. The signs of above normal precipitation were evident by early fall. Normally, winter storm tracks tend to run south and east of the Red River Valley. They trap the moist air flowing up from the Gulf of Mexico and carry it to Iowa and Michigan. But in 1996-97, a slight shift in the position of the planetary Rossby waves moved the track somewhat further north and west. Consequently, North Dakota, especially the Red River Valley, became the target for heavy rains and numerous blizzards. An unusual combination of weather conditions resulted in unusually high precipitation and a rapid melting pattern. Without a doubt, this was the flood of the century. A better understanding of the impact of such a flood will surely help authorities to protect communities from the disaster of enormous floods. Everyone hopes that a flood of the century will never again cause such disaster. Now let's see how the strategy for writing a concluding paragraph applies to this report, Natural Disaster. Let's use the following template. Template for a concluding paragraph. Restate main idea. Without a doubt, this was the flood of the century. Supported by information or arguments, the signs of above normal precipitation resulted in unusually high precipitation and a rapid melting pattern. Final remark. Everyone hoped that a flood of the century would never again cause such disaster. Try this. Go to sponsorvillage.ca, click on Writing and scroll to Concluding Paragraph. Read the concluding paragraph and complete the templates. Use the answer key at the end of the activities to check your answers. Write a concluding paragraph. Use the template as a guide to ensure that you have accomplished what a concluding paragraph must do to complete an essay report. After you are pleased with your paragraph, edit it for grammar to create a reader's draft. If you have any questions about the writing process, send them to askdrotto@sponsorvillage.ca. Enjoy your writing experience.